Do you feel like going to the top of a building or screaming to anyone that you see, help me? My manager is not helping me to grow. If that sounds like a problem that you are having, this conversation today should be particularly helpful to you. And if it's your first time here in the Lead Her Lab, I do want to say welcome. This is where we come in to learn and we go out in the world and we lead. So let's dive right in. So one of the things that happens in many workplaces, unfortunately, is that everyone is not always working with a leader, a strong leader. In fact, some people aren't even working with a strong manager because obviously the two things are very different. And it's unfortunate when this happens, but I fully believe and know from my own experience and that of others I've worked with is that our growth ultimately is our responsibility, right? And we're going to be having multiple conversations around our career growth. But this first conversation that we're going to be embarking on has to do with if you're in a situation where you believe your immediate manager is not concerned with your growth, they don't even have conversations with you about where you see yourself going in the organization. And if someone should ask them, they would have no idea. So, what do you do in situations like this? And before we get into the three things that I'm going to be sharing with you today, let's just be clear. These may not apply to every single person. It should apply to the majority. But obviously, we're dealing with different organizations, different personalities, different people. But generally speaking, the average person should be able to examine, have I done these three things? And if I have not, these are three things I want to ensure that I do in order to create some sort of partnership between my manager and myself in my career growth. All right. So the first thing you want to do is examine, have you effectively communicated your vision and your needs? Have you communicated to your manager that you have aspirations for growth within the organization? Now, don't get me wrong. There's some of us that are going to think, well, they should know that. Who wants to stay in the same job year after year after year? Aren't they going to assume that I want to grow? But that's exactly the problem. You never want to leave the growth of your career solely in the hands of someone else. Do other people in the organization have decision-making power and influence how rapidly you're able to grow in that organization or in what direction? Absolutely. But you have some influence in the matter. And a part of that influence is effectively communicating where you see yourself going and also effectively communicating what you believe the path to getting there is. So take an opportunity to have a conversation with your manager. It could be just a regular normal chat. You could ask to have a meeting with them and have that conversation. It could be a part of your annual review or biannual review, however frequently that happens. But you don't have to wait for a particular situation or scenario. If you've never taken the opportunity, it is advised that you ask your manager when you're able to have a conversation with them because you would love their guidance on a particular matter and just have that dialogue when you have the opportunity to do so. Indicate to them that you have a vision to continue to contribute even more strongly to the organization. You want to ensure that you are maximizing your full potential and you are looking for growth within the organization. And this is where you see yourself growing, and you would like to understand how you can be in partnership with them to create success for them, for the team, and for yourself, right? Do you see the kind of language that I'm using? So that's point one, is ensure that you have effectively communicated your needs. The second thing that you want to do, I was hinting at it in the first point, is the language that you use. And indeed, not just the language, but also your actions have to be collaborative. Because ultimately, just like yourself, when something is presented to you and you think about what is the benefit to yourself, what is the benefit to you, if you aren't dealing with someone who is a particularly strong leader, as strong leaders would typically have these kinds of thoughts in mind about how do I help my team to grow? How do I help them to advance? if you aren't dealing with someone who is a particularly strong leader, then you will have to be intentional about how you have the conversation, how you work alongside them, and you want to present a collaborative effort. You want to be able to indicate a benefit to the team, to the organization, and not just to yourself. No, again, I'm going to take a moment here and pause and say, I understand that this may not be the right fit for everyone, because some people are going to push back and some people are going to feel, well, it shouldn't take all of that. I shouldn't need to do all of that. I should not have to change my language to be collaborative in order to get someone to see me in the organization. And while you're certainly entitled to that perspective, I want to challenge that perspective, because ultimately, even for yourself, if you examine it, are you more willing to work with someone that seems to be about wins for everyone involved? Or are you more eager to work with someone that's only seeming to be concerned about their own success? So if you have answered that question to say, well, I would rather work with someone that is keen on everybody winning, it's a win-win situation all around, then it stands to reason that many, if not most other people are going to be like that. And the way that we solicit support from anyone, including our manager, no matter how you feel about it, presenting yourself as a collaborator, someone who has interest for their success, but also how their growth can benefit the team and the organization, is always going to be a better position to solicit a better response than it is someone just having a conversation about, well, I want to grow, I want a promotion, I deserve a raise. That is not the most effective way. When you use language that says, I have more that I can offer the organization, I have more that I can offer that will strengthen the effectiveness, the productivity, and the overall success of the team, it is a very different conversation from the I must be promoted, this is what I want, and this is where I want to go. There's nothing wrong with your ambition. It's actually welcomed here in the Lead Her Lab. But the truth is, you are working in an environment that you don't have control over, but you have an ability to influence it. And I'm just suggesting to you that your language and your efforts to be collaborative will produce a greater opportunity for persons to be willing to partner with you. And for the final point, you want to ask them for guidance. Now, again, it speaks to the intention of being collaborative, but takes it a step further. When you have that kind of conversation with your manager to say, I see that you've created a certain level of success for yourself within the organization. I recognize you have a certain level of experience, expertise, and success. And I am also trying to create that for myself and know that it will benefit the team in this particular way. How were you able to do it? What would you suggest that I do as my next move? What path would you suggest that I take? Who do you think I should partner with? You are soliciting their guidance. It is another way of saying, I'm here to collaborate. And beyond that, it says, I also see what you have accomplished, and I would like your experience, I would like your wisdom, and so I'm asking for your input. And that also allows certain defenses if you're dealing with someone that may be a manager that may be insecure, a manager that may not have a great deal of vision or foresight. It sends defenses down because they recognize that there is something that you identify about them and about their experience and about their expertise and about their success, and you are seeking their wisdom with it. All right. So again, those are just 3 tips that I have successfully used in a 19-year career in hospitality and tourism, where I averaged a promotion every year and a half for the first half of that career. And these are also strategies that I've given to young professionals that I worked with in that field and help them to create career acceleration for themselves. And within my coaching and consulting, it's definitely tactics, or not tactics, but strategies that have worked for those that I've coached. So I'll be looking out for your comments below. And if this conversation was particularly helpful for you, then you may want to check out the links below for other conversations that we're having around career acceleration. All right. So now it's time for us all to go out and lead. See you next time.